channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We are looking at a game between MJ77 and Anasav Vyacheslav. That is the most Russian name I've ever heard. Russia, indeed. And we have a Scandinavian where d4 happened. Not really a move. You want to move one of the knights. Attacking the queen is technically better. Knight f3 has a higher win rate, though. So we have attacking the pawn. See, this is very passive. This is like an Alekhine for black, except on steroids. So yeah, black is a nice position. I would definitely take black's position here. This bishop is kind of jammed up. I would have tried to trade that off before putting the knight on d2. Trading the queens when you're lacking activity, but not a bad decision. I don't know. I actually wouldn't have. I wouldn't really have traded because they can open. Why do I have scroll to move? I'm gonna change that. Okay. Yeah, they would have. They can open their rook up. You could have gotten their knight out too. Maybe the knight go into c4 from b3. Potentially is by this bishop position here. In however way Mr. MJ chooses to do so, I would just get that thing off the board. Now, Anisov is the higher rated player by 22 points. And this is these types of positions. I can't draw arrows. Where the A pawn has traded for the queens. Going here is a very annoying move. It's at basically no risk of getting trapped. And this B pawn moving is not scary. The only time when this B pawn is scary is when you have like let's say black pawn here, and you have a white pawn here, maybe a black pawn here, and it doesn't really matter where your black pawn. When the B pawns are doubled and white has the pawn here, yeah, this is very scary because you're pinned. You have the bishops lining up, and there's no queen to defend a lot of squares. That is very scary. This version is not scary because look at the light squares. It's horrendous light squares here, and black is doing a great job of like exploiting that. I would have kept the bishop here because, yeah, you're just gonna get kicked out. I personally would have gone here so that I can trade this bishop off entirely, and then I would also try to find a way to trade my dark squared bishop or put my pawns on light squares following. So both bishops I would want to be trading off if I were white. The bishop pair is valuable, but in a position like this, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. And I would argue having a knight in this position, it's like I would try to trade the bishop for one of the other bishops, and then the other bishop for the knight. Because having a knight in a position like this, where there are so many freaking holes, yeah, that's pretty good. If I could find a way to trade the dark squared bishop for the light squared bishop, like with a capture, and then white captures something else with their bishop, that would be very favorable because most of their pawns are on dark squares and the light squares have a lot of holes, so getting rid of black's light squared bishop would be nice. I missed a lot of moves. Yeah, this is the B pawn advance that is kind of scary. But yeah, we get some moves, and the dark squared bishop was actually traded for the knight. I actually think that was not a great decision to take. I would have tried to trade my knight as black for the light squared bishop here. Because yeah, now white is actually getting somewhere. Now c5, great move, trying to shut that all down. And yeah, you're gonna have to find some way of keeping everything together because this is coming to x-ray everything. You can't take this because of the fork currently, but yeah, it's not great. Not the greatest decision. But the bishop pair in this position, as it's developed, is a little. It's more valuable than it would have been in the previous areas because the board is opening up. If you want to play as a person with two bishops as best as possible, then opening the position for you is going to benefit you a lot because you have two bishops. They're the longer ranging piece. Whereas if you like have a knight pair or knight versus bishop, you want to keep things closed, and you want to keep pawns either on the same color square as your opponent's bishop, like their pawns in the same color, because then your knight can jump around through holes on the other color. It depends on the position always, but you know, that's usually what you want to do. I would not have taken. I would have just gone back. I would have. Yeah, I would have just gone back there. Yes, this pawn is isolated. The square in front of it is controlled, but first of all, white doesn't have to isolate the pawn. But yeah, oh, they did anyways. I would have. Yeah, they're gonna have to anyways. But yeah, I would definitely have not done that. And as white, I wouldn't have traded anything. I would have isolated it. I would have taken with the pawn first, because once the rooks are if the rooks get traded off, black should win this game pretty easily. Just because of the bishop pair and how bad white's structure is. This is good, trying to take advantage of the weakened dark squares and just the holes in general around the position, but a little too soon to be doing this as white gets a lot of play. First of all, when they take this, you cannot move your rook as you would just get mated. This bishop covers the escape square, which is why I wouldn't have moved it there in the first place. I would have tried to keep it there. Yep, g5. Trying to get out of it with a tempo. This isn't really a tempo win, but yeah, what is up upon that? So this b pawn looking hella sweet, and I would just try to find a way to push it to suffocate one of the pieces, and then go after stuff on the king side. The problem is the bishop pair, and that both color complexes are now being covered, so it's hard to get in, which is, you know, why I would have tried to trade something of mine for one of the bishops, preferably both. But yeah, that's why I would have done that. Black takes. Honestly, if you're gonna go g5, you should have probably just taken it. Yep. So that's good. White just needs to not hang a fork. Also, by the way, this is a 30+0 game, so both of these players are just playing way too fast. Y'all playing way too fast. This is poor. This is very poor. Y'all should be playing slower than this. Yeah. Like, playing this fast, like, playing fast is good, but not when you have the potential to think. And both players have missed a lot of strong things that they could have done instead, but they didn't, and it's unfortunate. But yeah, again, this is a weakening move. You cut your own king off, and your bishop might even get trapped. It might somehow get trapped. It's not really that possible to cover every square, but it is certainly, if the rook was like here, you can cover every square, and your king was like here or something. It is possible. It is possible. So I definitely wouldn't have done that. It's another weakening move. You weaken this. You weaken it to the same color square as the bishop. It's also a forking square for your king and the rook, so it's a very weakening move overall. White jumps in. I wouldn't have done that. That kind of allows some stuff like this, hitting the pawn and your king getting out. Not right now, of course. There is a useful discovered check, but when the moment comes that there isn't a useful discovered check, white should just black should just get out. This was a consideration. I would have probably tried to do that just to get my king to not be tied down to the bishop and my bishop to not be won by any tactics or something. Rook here probably should be played. I would try to cover the back rank as much as possible. It does get played. Again, these players are playing way too fast. You should try to chill and try to find any little juice that you can squeeze out of the position. 2102 bullet. So yeah, this guy is definitely a bullet player. 4,500 games. MJ, he plays some bullet as well. He plays some bullet, 1,000 games. MJ more of a rapid and blitz player. As you can tell, he is using his time a little bit better than Black is. Black could have punished a lot of things earlier on in the game. So could have White, but I mean that might be a strength issue because I mean this person is like 18, 1900. In rapid, they're like 2000, almost 2100. But yeah, they could have punished things a lot better too if they thought a little bit more. That's the main concern of this game. But yeah, Black is playing way too quickly. They're about to get obliterated. Not necessarily right now, but everything in Black's position is quite weak, and this might be a problem. Perhaps something's got to go restrict the king. Something's got to protect. Good pinning this. Something's got to go. Something's got to make White not want to do. Okay, so right now I would just take the check, and then I would defend. Cause like there's, would I take though? But, but, yeah, like, what the? You have 24 minutes. Why are you playing so fast? Yeah, I'm just genuinely curious to see if I'm pretty sure White really fought back there in the mid and end game. Yeah. Also, aren't Russians supposed to be like, not the best in the opening, but like really W in the middle and end game? Kind of the opposite happened there. Bro was clapping in the opening, but once the end game happened, it was kind of a disaster for for the black side. And yes, that is exactly what happened. White started fighting back and putting pressure and actually like thinking about what they were doing before they did it. As you can see from the move times, White was a more stable thinking. And actually, MJ is watching this too, so he's actually reviewing his game. Uh, Vyacheslav, sorry man, but you gotta work on your time management, like thinking about stuff, and like really making sure that what you do is okay, because this was not great. So yeah, we had a Scandinavian. It was really good for Black because White played in a kind of a bad way. White kind of missed their opportunity here to play e5. I did notice that. I didn't really say much about it because I had missed a lot of moves already because I started recording after the game started. But yeah, this is like an Alekhine on steroids because if you go to the beginning of the game in the Alekhine, if White doesn't like do anything really, and you just like take d4, you get this same kind of style of position where you like pin the knight, you go e5 right away, and then long castle in this kind of beta male line by White in the Alekhine. Black is backward engine in most of these. And the queen is in the middle, and the king and queen are next to each other with no development. Just obliterate that center. Just like slap it up. And in the game, that's kind of what happened, except for Black played a waiting move. I mean, your bishop it has no potential of getting attacked, so I would just go. Like e5, I would definitely play, and position is very good. It's like long castle, you're pinned, you're about to get attacked again. it was a really good opening by Black, but they just failed to, like, you've only fought for like 20 seconds. You gotta think of something better than like H6 and E6. Like, you're playing passively. Look at what your opponent's doing. He's playing passively too, so you gotta go for it. You have a class. This is a classical game. This is 30 plus 0. You got time to think this stuff through. Even K-Maps over here thinks you're much better. Except for space, but that's your own fault. If you go here, you're fine. Look, once you go here, space is plus 21. This is within decapons, by the way, so it's... Yeah. Yeah, this is within so space would give you a plus 2.1 pawn structure. It's plus 0.1 activity, and yeah, this isn't correlated exactly with evaluation, but it's like a good thing you can have to help understand why your position sucks or why it's good. Unless it's like completely winning for one side, then it's kind of stupid. But yeah, too passive. Like, what is this? What is this? You got to go for it. You got to go for it. I hope Anesov sees this video. And I hope he speaks English too. He probably does. Maybe. I mean, Russians. Is Russian is English the most common language for us to learn? I would think it would be Ukrainian or like another Slavic language. Maybe not Ukrainian right now for Russia. Unfortunate what's going on over there. Yeah, Russia's a big poopy brain. Specifically, Putin is really just one person. I'm probably gonna get shot for saying that by someone who works for him, but I mean, yet again, he's probably not gonna see this video because I don't know, he seems like the kind of guy to geo-block all the stuff that he watches. He's kind of like Donald Trump. He's like, I'm only gonna look at the stuff that supports what I think. Meh. So yeah, President of Russia and USA, they both kind of ass. My bad if you're American, you voted for Trump, but if you're American and you voted for Trump, then I'm just gonna say you're stupid because you just are. Like, you voted for Barack Obama twice. He's like, what is the issue here? Is it just because that Kamala is a girl? Is that there's also, by the way, not a lot of people know this, but there's never been a female president for USA. Like, what was the? I mean, you voted in a person of color. You voted in a brown man, Barack Obama. He was a W president. He was Giga Chad. But what was the issue? So you're telling me you would rather? Okay, I'm coming at this from like the I'm trying to get into the racist lens here or the sexist lens here. So you would rather vote in a orange sunburnt yellow haired buffoon who's a criminal over a person who would probably be like an average president who's female. Like, why? I would rather have a person who's going to be average rather than a person who's committed like 90 felonies. I'm just saying. You know? Extras, tools, charting. Yeah, I have extra uh, charting and stuff in this manual, and you can pause, slow down the video to read this if you want. The lead chess tools is a really good thing. I'm gonna reload this. White playing like a 28-15, I don't really agree with. They played well, especially towards the end, but I don't agree with that. 24-19, I especially don't agree with that. This should be much lower. I think you should give the 23-2400 rating to White and then give Black a freaking 1600, because like, what was all of this? Black just like fell apart. Like, every move Black made, they like did something bad to their position. Also, yeah, I was pretty sure this was a blunder to this, but we have this targeting stuff, and yeah, taking with check, as I mentioned before, was definitely better. But yeah, they kind of fork and resigned. Anyway, that's it. Just subscribe. I might cover another one of his games. He is playing right now, so I might cover another one. Mr. MJ is still reviewing his game. Good on him. Good on him. Chad, dude. Joined 6 years ago. W.